So today I will be setting up this repository, which is a cloud-based AI-enabled IDE with one-click deployment. And I will be setting it up on our fresh new AWS account. So we'll be starting from the top of the README here. And just to note, anything that doesn't make sense or you get stuck, go to the Discord server and drop us a note right away before messing around and getting lost. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. We try to make it as simple as possible to set up, but it's fairly complex system. So these instructions will help you to run the project locally on your own machine. If you follow this, you should be able to get everything running on localhost. So what I'm going to do now is the same thing, but I'm going to be setting it up on the cloud. So I've already gotten these API keys. I have a Cloudflare account set up, and I have these API keys. So within the project itself, there's a front end and there's a back end. In the back end, there's a Express.js server, and that's really the tricky thing to host. The front end, we're already hosting on Vercel. And so actually, I'm not really going to show how to do that because it's literally just a matter of of opening a Vercel account, connecting to the repo, and then adding your API keys, which are basically, if I search for front end, which are basically specified everywhere that it says front end /env. So if you just add all of these to Vercel here, then that should just work out of the box for the front end, which is Next.js. For the back end, that's where it gets more tricky. So here we have two Cloudflare workers, and those are also described exactly how you need to set them up here. Yo, Burhan. So we're going from the top of the README, and we're going to set up everything from scratch on AWS. So these are the two Cloudflare workers. Yeah, so I just described how you'd set up the front end. For the Cloudflare workers, it's also just a matter of we have these two wrangler.toml files of just setting up those and then running npx wrangler deploy once you've authenticated with Cloudflare. So those instructions, I think, is also pretty straightforward. What I think is tricky is AWS, and that's where we're going to run the backend server, and we're also going to run the deployment host, the web host. And this is where scalability really is a potential issue. This is where we would have bottlenecks. So that's why we want to use our AWS credits. So let's see, where should I start? So this is all front end stuff. Now I've set this up already, so I have the environment variables that I need. So I think the first thing that I'm going to do, I'll just scroll through this. So this I've set it up on localhost, and it works. So what I need to do basically is I need to create an AWS EC2 instance, and I need to clone the project into it. And then I just need to run this backend server on basically port 80. And then I'm going to set that up as a public domain that the front end can access. And the domain that we're using for that is api.sandbox.gitwit.dev. Okay, so this is where it will be set up finally. So I'm going to go to my AWS account and search for EC2. I'm going to launch a new instance. I'm going to call it GitWit server. Is that clear? GitWit server. We'll call it backend server. And let's see. So last time I used, we're looking for the OS. What image did I use? I used Amazon Linux 2003 AMI. So it looks like I used the same one last time, and this worked. Kernel 6.1. Let's see. Yeah, so this is the default. Let's go with this. Okay, the username is EC2 user, which is important later when we need to SSH into it. Now, for the instance type, the one that we're running now is t2.medium, and that has not been an issue so far. So, yeah, let's stick with that one. I mean, there's definitely situations where it could run out of RAM, but yeah, that's working for now. We can always scale it up later. I need to have a key pair so that I can SSH into it. So let's create that. Okay. New GitWit server, new GitWit backend server. Cool. Got it. And network settings, most importantly, I need to be able to SSH into it. And I need to have allow HTTPS traffic. That should be fine. We don't need to allow HTTP traffic for this. Now for the storage, we shouldn't need to add any extra storage because we're not actually storing any anything aside from the source code on this. And looks like none of this stuff is stuff that I've ever touched before. Cool. So yeah, let's launch that one. We're going to have to do this again later when we want to set up Docker hosting. But this is really the main thing to get started. Okay, that should take a few minutes for it to start. Okay, it looks like it's running already. Or this says it's running. This is, okay, initializing status check, but that should be running. So here we have a public IP address. So I can just SSH directly into this IP address or this address. Okay, so open a new terminal window. Let's copy this, and remember the username was EC2 user. And if I use the I flag, what was the file that it saved as? Oh, new GitWit backend server. Okay. That should work. Let's try it. Okay. Cool. So this should be set to it's the correct permissions. Should be 700. Oh yeah. Okay. The main thing is that these two become 0. So let's do that. Let's do chmod how does this one work? Mode and then the file. Okay, so 0600 downloads new gateway package. Let's try this. Oops. There. Cool. So here we have our fresh server. Now we are ready to start hosting. So I'm going to go back to the instructions here. I'm going to clone this. Now, if you've changed it, you can use your own fork. Okay, don't have Git installed. And this is why I am really recording this from scratch. So to get Git, I don't know how it works on Amazon Linux. I'm just gonna ask ChatGPT, install Git on AWS Linux. It says, oh yeah, so we're using yum. And basically we should be running this sudo yum install git. Yes. Let's see if that works. Okay, now we should have Git. Nice. So we're going to go to the sandbox project. Look at what's here. We only are using the backend. So I'll cd into the backend. And should be able to now add my environment variables. So let's open up Vim and check out the .env. Oh. So we need to go cd into the server. So here we are in the sandbox backend server directory. Now, so here we are in the backend server application. So let's have a look at the .env file. Let's copy that to a new .env file, which will be detected when the program runs. And let's look in here. So need to add, this is the secret password that allows it to connect with the Cloudflare worker. This you will encounter when you are setting up everything else. This is the URLs that point to Cloudflare workers. This is the host for the Doku server, which we can set up later, and the Doku SSH key. So for now, we just need to add these 4, right? Yep. Yeah, we just need to add those 4. So I'm going to do that real quick. Let's see. Okay, so I've done that, and I have saved the file within Vim. That means it should be able to access our production database, and it should be able to create sandboxes using the E2B API. And when I say access the database, it's accessing it through the Cloudflare workers. Cool. So what's next? Well, we would want to run npm run build. So we don't have npm. Cool. So I'm just going to figure out how to get node. I guess it's probably similar to the last command. So we run, oh no, it's different. This is the command that I'm supposed to use to get node working on AWS. Okay, no, that didn't work at all. Let's see what happens if we skip that. Now let's see, do we have npm? I think so. Cool. npm run build. This is not the TSC command you are looking for. What? What? What is it then? npm install TypeScript. So yeah, when that's done, should be able to run the Express.js server. Okay, let's see. So we have that, npm install TypeScript. What was I trying to do before that? npm run build. Cool. npm run start. Now the question is what port it will run on. Port 4000. And is that what we wanted? Cool. These we will handle later. So appears the backend server is running. How can we test that is the case? Well, let's set up the backend. Let's set up the domain name for the backend, and let's get this running on port 80, which makes a lot more sense than port 4000. So how am I doing that on our existing setup? Actually, I think I'm probably just doing it like this: port equals 80 npm run start. No, with sudo. Okay, now it's still running on port 4000, so that didn't really help. It did nothing. I think I know what I did. Really? Yeah. Let's see. What have I done? Yes. Okay. So it looks like what I did last time was I let it run on port 4000, and then I created a proxy server. Yeah, Okay. Looking through my history. So to set up the proxy server, something like this: yum install nginx. Okay. Yes. And to have SSL on any server, you need to have an SSL certificate. And of course, I've taken notes on how to do that because I will never remember how that works. But basically, these are the tools to set up the SSL certificate. Cool. Now, in order to actually make this work, the certificate work, I will need to point the domain name that we're going to be using in the final scenario to the EC2 server. So that'll break production if I do that. But it's the middle of the night, so no one cares. So this is the IP address that we're using now. I'll just save that for later. And I'm going to change that to the IP address of the new server. Okay. So that's this one, right? Okay. Let's edit that. Okay. And this is Cloudflare DNS only, no caching. This is our API subdomain. Nice. Now this should be properly broken now. Seems like it. Okay. It's gonna go back to here. And going to create the SSL certificate by running certbot. Yes, I agree. I love the EFF. So the domain name for this certificate is going to be the one that we just showed. So API dot sandbox dot gitwit dot dev. Oh no. Well, it can't fetch this, but we never allowed HTTP connections to begin with. So it appears we are stuck because we have only allowed HTTPS connections, but we need to get this working first before you can use HTTPS. So probably I should go back to here and I should find a way to enable HTTP, right? That's all. Because if it's trying to connect to here, that's just not going to work. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So. Security. Yeah, let's try adding a security rule. It's probably what happened before. Okay, add rule HTTP 80. Everybody save. Okay. Let's try again. Hey, all right, that worked. It's just a note to myself that we have to get that running first. We have to have HTTP first enabled before we can disable it. So I'm going to leave this. I'm going to delete this now. I'm going to delete this just for peace of mind. This one, this 80. We are only going to be, so 80 is for HTTP and 443 is for HTTPS. We will only be using HTTPS in the future. So basically, we'll just deny all connections to the backend that are not using HTTPS, just for security reasons. Let's delete this. Delete security groups. I want to delete the rule. Let me figure out edit inbound rules here. Okay. Delete. Yeah, like I'm not exactly sure what kind of security loophole there would be if I would leave it open. But in general, if we don't need it, then it's safer to remove it. Okay. So back to setting this up. This is our private key. This is our certificate. This is our private key. You have to do this every 3 months. Okay. Now I'm going to open the Nginx config. Save this for later. Cool. And I'm going to open up the Nginx config. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the right one. Let me double check. Looks like the right config file, but you never know. I could have very likely taken the wrong one. So, so I'm going to copy my config that I have before. Let's see. Is my mouse okay? It's fine now. My mouse just hung up for a second. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this whole config file. I'm not really sure what this is. So basically, let's look through it. So no idea what all this is. This is setting up a proxy. I don't think that the way I understand it, like the node server cannot serve HTTPS directly, or it doesn't serve HTTPS directly the way that it's set up. So it just serves HTTP to port 4000. So I think this is just a proxy, which is proxying that HTTP 4000 port to HTTPS port 80, which is the public port. Wait, no, HTTP, not 80, but 443. It looks like here there is a block for 80, but we have just disabled that, which is probably fine. This one is the important block. This is the certificate and the key that we just got from the last command. This is the domain name, this is the port, and this is the Node.js server. And yeah, I'm going to copy this into a GitHub gist and put the link to that in the description of this video. Okay. Let's save that. Okay. So we need to quit. And I need to use sudo. Save it again. Huh? Can't open file for right. Oh, because this directory doesn't exist. Why not? Okay. So, let's see what we do have. Probably haven't even installed. No, we do. Okay. I think this is the right config file. Never really sure. Let's see, Nginx. There's another one. You know what? Maybe that's not the right config file. Maybe it's this one. That makes more sense. Because this file already exists. Okay, let's use that one. Let's see what... okay. let's have a look inside here. Yes, this is very similar to what I just had. So this is the right config file. So I think I only need to change. I think what I did is I just added this, right? Yeah, I just added a block here for the server that I wanted to add. Yeah, I just added it. Okay, let's save that. And the next step should be sudo system control restart nginx. This is exciting. It didn't work at all. Oh man. Why didn't that work? Exit with error code. Okay. Okay, it's failing to bind to port 80 because the address is already in use. That's interesting. Why would that be already in use? Do I need... What's running on port 80? We're not even using port 80, so we could remove that. But still, the question is what's running on port 80? Was there another web server set up on this EC2 container? Do I have... No, my node process doesn't use port 80. So looks like nginx is running. Looks like it's already running. So probably I just need to kill it. Okay. Maybe it's working. How would I know? Well, let's refresh this. King the 502, bad gateway. I'm not actually running the backend server right now, so that would definitely be an issue. This is running on port 4000, and the nginx proxy should be proxying the unencrypted 4000 to the SSL encrypted 80. Okay, and this is a good error. This means that the backend server is running. This is like a 404. Oh, okay. We're getting somewhere. So the last thing that I want to do is I don't want to have to like run this command manually, npm run start, because no, like, okay, so I just hit Control C, now the server's down. So if anything happens, if I close this window, of course, the server will go down, but also if there's any kind of temporary hiccup or crash, the server will go down entirely and it will not restart. So the way that I have fixed that is, there may be a better way to do this, but I'm not sure. Let's see. How would I install this package globally? So I want to install PM2. I want to use PM2. And I believe that stands for Process Manager. So I'm going to go to my home directory, and I'm just going to npm install PM2 globally. Hopefully this is the right. This is the first time I'm doing it this way. So sudo. All right. Now I'm going to go to server. Okay. And let's see, do we have PM2 here? Cool. Sick logo. Okay. So PM2 is a production process manager. Okay. So load balancer. Not sure how that's going to work, but basically, if I run this, this is the output of npm run build. This gives me a name so I can come back later and check if it's running. This is for logs. So everything that would be output to the terminal goes to a log directory. So I can actually, when things crash, I can actually SSH back into the server and see what went wrong. It's the log file and errors. So like good logs, bad logs. Okay, let's try it. Cool, it's running. We're at 0% CPU, 50 megabytes of RAM. Let's try this. Okay, now we're running. And let's say we're going to PM2 PM2 I just want to see PM2 list. Okay, yeah. Okay, so 70 megs of RAM, still 0% CPU usage. Cool. We can check back on this later, but for now, I can close the SSH connection, and the server will keep on running. Okay, end of part 1, where we set up the AWS server. Let's test it first. Yeah, so let's test it. We've done this on production. So if all is well, then this will still be working. And yeah, the server is working. That's an unrelated error. So means that migration was successful. Now the deployments will not work at all right now because we have not set up the deployments server. And so that's the end of part 1, where we set up this backend server on AWS. Have I done things the right way? I'm not really sure. If you're watching this and you have some improvement for how I could set stuff up in the backend, obviously we need to have CI/CD in the future. So now this requires you to pull every time that you make changes to the code base. So that's not really handy for us. But yeah, it works. It's running in production. It's stable. And this is something we can work with. And the next step is going to be to set up deployments. So let's see. What do you think, Burhan? How long did it take us to get this far? Okay. 46 minutes. Okay, that's pretty good. I estimated that it would take to do the whole thing 1 to 2 hours. And we are about halfway done. So pretty much on track. But yeah, I think it's probably time to just power through and get deployments working. So I think I'm going to end this stream though, and then take a quick break, and then do another one with Doku.